Welcome everyone back to American Men's Basketball Media Day. I'm Andy Katz. Pleased to be joined by Johnny Dawkins from UCF, John Brennan, the new head coach at Cincinnati, Tim Jankovich from SMU, and Frank Haith from Tulsa. John, you're the newbie here, so let's start with it. This is not a foreign program to you, so obviously you're very familiar with Cincinnati, but when you got there, in what way did you want to have an impact on that program right away?
Well, I think like anything else, when you take over a program, particularly with some guys returning, you got to build relationships quickly. So the impact I wanted to make was on our young men, and getting to know them and making sure they got to know me. From a personal standpoint, I had to go to my family. It's going to be a different way of doing things like any time when you take over a program, and it's been so successful one way. The challenge of making sure your vision and your brand and how you want to do things is communicated to the right people the right way. So that's what we've tried to do since day one.
So you've all had to build here down the line. What was the key to building up a program for you?
As John just said, I think getting the support of the players, having them believe in our vision, trying to take the program in another direction. And we got that support from those guys. Our key leaders, our captains, they bought in, and I think everyone followed, and that led us to some success.
You know, similar to John's situation, where he's got someone back, a key player like Cumberland, you had that as well, where you had to sort of take over a program that had some key guys in building it. How critical was that for you?
I think it was hugely critical. You know, having BJ and Taco, two staples of our program returning as young players, we knew we were able to build off of that. We knew those guys would be competitive at their positions, and we needed just to get their buy-in so that everyone, as I said before, would kind of follow their lead, and they were able to do that.
Frank, how about you at Tulsa?
You know, when I first took over, we had a junior, senior laden team, and Shaq Harrison and James Woodard. And both these guys are absolutely right. You got to have buy-in from the top, and you got, your best players buy in. It helps the locker room, and then we were able to build it from that. Having those guys can develop some consistency.
Tim, how about when you got there with Larry Brown?
Well, we were left. Matt Doherty was the coach before, and he had left us with some very, very good players, so we got off to a good start that way, and we were very fortunate early on to get a couple great transfers. Nick Moore came with me from Illinois State, and Marcus Kennedy transferred from Villanova, and that was a big jump start right there. And so what we all know is if you have really good players and you have enough of them, you're going to be pretty darn good. And so early on, we had the players and we got it started.
So you've all either played for or worked with some pretty high-profile, legendary coaches. I want to start with you, Frank. Who'd you learn from the most?
Wow. I've worked for some really good coaches. I mean, and Kevin Eastman, Dave Odom, Rick Barnes, Bob Burton. I think Rick Barnes has probably been the guy I learned the most from. He's the one I'm probably most like. But I took a
Same
lot.
dry humor?
No. I'm different in that way. For the guys that know Rick Barnes, I don't go to, and even the new Rick Barnes, I'm not that either. So, but no, I learned a lot from all the guys I've worked for though.
Tim, go down the line here.
All right, down the line. I'll give you my down the line. Played for Jack Hartman, Lon Kruger, Bob Weltlich, Boyd Grant, Gene Iba, Eddie Sutton, Kevin Stallings, Bill Self, Larry Brown. Those are the coaches.
And you have no gray hair.
Well, I have some, but
You die.
I love all. I can't say one, partly because I would never just say one because that's disrespecting everybody. But I just have been very fortunate. It's one of the greatest things that's happened to me is to work for some of the great coaches that have ever lived.
All right, but what has stood out among?
Well, the biggest thing I learned,
to
have
learned.
all those guys and several in the Hall of Fame, a couple more should be, is that all of them, every one of them believed in defense above offense, every one of them. And the other thing that I learned was that you can be there's so many different personalities that can win. You don't have to be a certain way. And I think that was the biggest learning. The biggest thing I learned is that, they do it so many different ways but they're all themselves. So you can be yourself, whatever that is, and it's better if you do it that way.
My list isn't quite as long. I would say Billy Donovan. Obviously, I played for Billy. Anthony Grant, someone who impacted me a great deal. I was with him for such a long time. Travis Ford and I were together. All again, like Jank said, different personalities, different ways of doing things. But at the same time, being with Billy and Anthony, they kind of give you the blueprint of the style of play and how you want to do it. And then you got to take it over, put your own personality on it, put your own commitment level to it, and hire really, really good people around you. I would say it's not only the people I've learned from, but I learned from my current staff. The guys that I've worked with in the last 5 years that make me better each and every day. So, and then you utilize those guys throughout the course of your everyday work environment.
I think I know your answer, but go ahead.
No, you don't know my answer.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
I played for a lot of coaches. I mean, of course, Coach K, I played for and worked for him. But also, I played for Coach John Thompson, played for Coach Boeheim, played for Coach Knight, played for Coach Brown. So everyone impacts you a little bit, no matter, who you work with. And so I was fortunate to have those guys during stints of my career. And you take a little piece of everybody that you worked with. And, of course, my longest stints with Coach K, of course. So the bulk of the things you do, you kind of, take from there. But I think I've learned a lot from each guy. And I think, like a number of these coaches said, I think, the one thing that stood out amongst all those coaches, different styles, but they all preached, guarding, as opposed to, offense. And I think that's something that we try to, emulate in our program.
Why'd you want to stay in college versus the NBA?
The reason I want to stay in college as opposed to the NBA is so I can impact young people. I'm in the development of young people business. I like to, try to, let them try to, chase their dreams. I was able to live my dreams, and for this is my way of giving back to a game that's, giving me more than I could ever have dreamed of. So I feel I owe it to the game. I owe it to every, young person I come in contact with to try to help them, further their career.
I want to shift to the tournament. It's in Fort Worth this March, closer, obviously, to SMU, nearby, not too far away from Tulsa. In what way do you think that'll impact this conference, especially those programs?
Me?
You're the closest.
Really sad that it's in Fort Worth. Boy, we're going to have to live with that. It's obviously terrific for us. We love it. But I do think because there's a number of schools close by, driving distance, I think it's going to be, I think our attendance will be great. And I think people are going to love the Metroplex. I think it's, it'll be hard to get it out of there, I'm telling you. So we're very happy.
Yeah, I agree with Tim. I think the so many teams will be able to get there. That's the one thing that we've struggled with in our conference tournament is the attendance. And I think it just doesn't look good on TV when your conference tournament's not well attended. And I think that's one thing that's going to be improved greatly because of so many teams' ability to get there.
I want to talk transfers here for a moment, John. You've coached at various levels of college basketball. The transfer portal, the market, obviously is a little overrun. But in what way have you been able to take advantage of transfers, or at least even recruited in that world to just to help it fill a void?
Yeah, I mean it's part of the recruiting dynamic now, whether you like it or not. I mean you have to pay attention to it. You have to watch the portal. I don't even know how to get on it. It's a mystical thing. I joke around. I just don't want to go home and my wife puts me in the portal. That's the biggest thing. So I think it affects us all. I mean, if our current players go in the portal and then other guys go in, so you do it from a recruiting standpoint. This year's team, I knew we had some guys returning, so we went and did the grad transfer route, which I hadn't really done before. Signed 3 grad transfers to try to come in and give this team as much firepower as we could. With that comes, challenges as well. I figured in our first year we're implementing a new system of 13 players, so we might as well just add some more new ones. And over the course of the years, then we'll get back to more high school recruiting. So that's the biggest thing. But we have some guys on our staff that really pay attention to it and monitor it. And I think it's something you got to stay ahead of the game on because it's part of our environment, whether we like it or not, probably to stay.
You mentioned grad transfers. That's the new normal. When you're looking for a grad transfer, what do you hope you find?
You want me?
Sure.
I haven't had one.
It's well, transfers in general. I was a transfer many years. I'm not proud of that, but I did transfer schools, so I saw an incredible benefit a long time ago. And so all the years that I've been coaching. I've been kind of a positive one before it was really popular, that I thought transfers, that fact they sit out, you know what you're going to get, they get acclimated. It's a great situation. As it's moved forward, obviously more and more people are transferring, and maybe it's a little out of control. Grad transfers, it's risky because obviously it's a one-year deal, but it needs to work, because if it doesn't, then you haven't built up behind. And I've seen the statistics on it. We've taken some over the last couple of years, and it's difficult. It's difficult. If you look at the numbers, it's not played out that a lot of them do as well at the new place as they do the old place. So I think you got to be careful. We have tried. We've not had great success in that area. Hopefully in the future we will, but we have had great success with the normal transfer, not the grad transfer.
Injuries. Johnny, we'll start with you. You've had to deal with a lot of them. You persevered last season after dealing a lot with them the year before. When you're a coach and you've got this whole plan laid out, especially in the off season, and then it gets derailed, and then you've got to coach maybe two teams because you don't know when this guy's coming back, how do you manage that in your head of trying to deal with, getting derailed and then having to have almost like 2 or 3 rosters that you're going to have to deal with throughout the course of the season?
Well, I like to believe in a motion offensive coach, meaning that, I'm just going to go with the flow. What's working for us, we're going to go in that direction. And I know things happen in our game. So I always believe, like I tell our players, I'm a cup half full guy, not half empty. So when we make the changes and someone goes down, I'm like, next man up. Who's going to step up for us? We're going to keep the train rolling in a good direction. And so it happened for us the last couple of years. We've tried to stabilize it the best we could. I thought our guys gave me everything they had, and I think they were positive because I think they believed that we still could win, and that's what it takes.
SMU's had to deal with this a lot. How have you handled it, Tim?
I was going to say, we've had 5 season-ending injuries in the last 2 years, and it was compounded, obviously, by the 9 scholarships taken away. So for us, it was overwhelming, honestly. Starting last February, we were in great shape. We were in position for another NCAA tournament. We were already down 3 scholarships. We got 3 guys hurt, and it's a shipwreck, I got to tell you. And what I learned through that is it's very, very, very difficult to continue a culture when you don't have enough guys. When you can't hold anybody accountable. The number one way to hold accountability is playing time.
Right.
And when that goes away, and you're just asking and hoping and begging, it's not very effective. So we're just really, really excited that we're back to normal numbers, level playing field, and that those things are passed. But I can tell you, there is the other thing I learned is there is a definitely a luck factor. There's a luck factor. I mean, Johnny's team a couple of years ago, our teams the last 2 years, 5 guys out for the year. You can't predict it, and I feel like maybe we're not going to. We deserve some luck. So maybe 10 years from we won't have any. We won't have any injuries, I hope. But we all know that. There's a luck factor. Obviously, it's not the biggest factor, but you certainly need a little bit of luck to have a great year.
Frank, how have you managed it in your career?
Well, we haven't had any season-ending injuries. We've had guys miss games, and I think Johnny's point's well taken. Is you just got to go with the flow. Next man up. We've had guys like Daquan Jeffries missed a couple games from a concussion. Sterling Taplin missed a couple games, and you just got to, hopefully you have enough good players. And in Tim's case, he did. He was down scholarships, but I do think that you got to prepare all your guys, and then you have the mentality of believing that you can win regardless, and just continue to get your guys to play.
John, what's Cincinnati going to look like this season?
That's a good question. I think we'll play at a faster pace. It'll be a team that I think shares the ball at a high level. Defensively, we're a man team, so that'll be something different. Everything's been new. Learning screening angles and different things like that. So that's still to be determined. I know what I want it to look like. It hasn't looked like that in practice yet. So as soon as you guys let me out here, maybe we'll get a little bit better.
So there's expectations on Cincinnati. The expectations aren't as high outside the locker room on the other 3, but of course you can exceed that. How are you going to exceed that this season? We'll start with you, Johnny, then Tim, then Frank.
Well, by coming in every day and trying to get better, by coming in, working hard, sticking to the standards that the seniors that just left us have established, that same culture. As long as we're doing those things, we're getting better every day, and I'll consider that a success for us. So they're off to a good start with that. They're working hard. They seem to be very focused, and we just want to get better every day.
Well, for us, it's a new beginning because we now have normal numbers. The 9 scholarship reduction is over. We are a normal basketball program now, so we're really excited. I think the guys in our gym right now are going to win a lot of games over the next 2-3 years. I really do. We don't have any seniors. I really like the group. How fast that happens, I don't know, but I'm very optimistic. I think we're going to be back on the rise again.
I feel really good about our team also. I think obviously we only have 2 seniors, and those 2 seniors are leaders. Marzi Bono, we need consistency with our team for us to have the kind of success and surprise some people this year. Our newcomers all will have to grow and develop with the guys we got returning, but I do like our team. I think they'll win a lot of games, and with only 2 seniors, I'm like Tim, I think we got a team that can be very competitive in this league over the next couple of years.
Frank Haith, Tim Jankovich, John Brennan, Johnny Dawkins, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, guys.